The Team Never Quit podcast is sponsored by Navy Federal Credit Union. You can save thousands off the MSRP with Navy Federal's car buying service, powered by TrueCar. Learn more at NavyFederal.org. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Team Never Quit podcast. Today, we have someone super special on the show. But before we get to that, we got to remind you guys, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the show. You can do that on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you like to listen to your shows. I've got to kick this thing off with a Patreon question of the day, open to everyone in the room. Tomorrow, there's a zombie apocalypse. Who are the three people?
There really is?
Tomorrow. It's happening tomorrow. Who are the three people on your team?
We can only have three.
Three people.
So that like three people on our team like to fight the apocalypse?
To fight the apocalypse.
Oh, okay.
Like I could get a, like I actually my brother. That are we talking about like summoned from the multiverse?
Yeah, wherever you want. Past, present, future.
I'm gonna go with me, bro. Yeah. Only three. I'm not gonna go biblical. I'm gonna say me, Marcus, and Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, so yeah.
Is that a good one or what?
That's pretty good.
Just to narrate the whole thing?
Just to talk us through it.
And Christopher Walken.
Christopher Walken.
We can only have three. Damn it.
No, so like that's my three, but I'll be on my three. So yeah.
Well, I mean,
you're on my team, so you can't have your own team.
Sorry about you.
Go ahead, brother.
What do you got?
Well, it'd have to be Marcus Morgan and Elon Musk.
Oh, there you go. To the moon.
See how it's going?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, now we're getting into the work of it. Now, see that if we'd had more time to think about it, we're going to need one of his trucks out here. We're going to need to test drive that before we can bring him straight onto the team.
They're going to have to work. They're going to have to work out the glass first before I'm.
Because I've said this openly that my brother and I are the face of Tesla, Texas.
There you go.
Yeah. I don't know if Tesla knows that yet, but
come on.
Yeah, CNN put it out.
Come on,
it's on the news. I
I know it now.
We saw it on the news.
Yeah. Still waiting for that free Tesla to roll in here with the plaid speed.
All right, guys. Well, we always enjoy those Patreon questions. If you haven't already, check us out at patreon.com/teamneverquit. We got exclusive access to behind-the-scenes content of the show. We send out some exclusive sweet merchandise, a challenge coin, a cool hat, a bunch of other cool things. You can only check that out at patreon.com/teamneverquit. We even go live occasionally for that. So make sure you check that out. We got a great guest in store today. Richie McPeak is a 7-year cancer amputee warrior, dad, and co-founder of McPeak. Richie has faced many battles, but continues to come out on top each time. We're super excited to hear his story about battling cancer and all the adventures he's gone on in the last 7-year battle, as well as the struggles he went through to get where he is. Richie, even more exciting is that you have been a longtime follower of the show, of the community that we've built, and we're excited to have you.
Thank you, Andrew. I'm honored to be here and meet Marcus and Morgan, and thank you both for your service for our country and my family. And I love the Team Never Quit community. I've tried to have a Team Never Quit mentality my whole life, and Marcus really inspired me. And so I just try to follow that and share y'all's posts and everything you're doing for our community every chance I get.
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
brother.
we sure appreciate that. I tell you what, just looking at this resume of yours, buddy. I mean, you should write a book somewhere. Somebody should do it. We interviewed Sebastian Younger just recently. I'm going to put your name in front of him so he can do a documentary over you guys. Man, you're the epitome of just never quit.
That means a lot. Thank you. I've been through some fires, but I truly have come to believe that every step is a finish line. I think a lot of people get lost. We can't see the end of the 5K or the end of the hike or end of your goals of the month or the year. But when you make those goals, just making it to your next moment or the next step, and that becomes a finish line, then you have a finish line after finish line after finish line, and you can mentally stay in the game.
Yeah, because you always got to win.
Yes.
You always put a win underneath your belt. I quit. I started doing the exact same thing.
Well, you never finish either. I mean, it just keeps,
well,
keeps
you always
going.
have, the race keeps going.
Race keeps going, man. I mean,
I had to reel myself back in. I'd look
because
for
even when you guys get done running, y'all start another race. So you to another line. It just keeps going.
Yeah, I just do the day. I mean, not 2 weeks, not 3, not a month. I just do the day.
Yeah.
I'm wake up and I'm going to accomplish the day. So much easier.
And I had an opportunity to train with a force recon Marine. He taught me some big things. One, when I first showed up to his building in the mid 2000s, I thought I was a big, strong wrestler, tough dude. I'd lifted heavy weights. He put 2.5 pound barbells in front of me. And I thought, this guy's crazy. And he looked at me and he said, "You think I'm crazy, don't you, Mr. Richie?" I'm like, "Yeah." After 20 minutes, I couldn't lift 2.5 pounds.
Oh, yeah.
And he told me little numbers turn into big numbers.
Real quick.
Real quick.
Ounces to pounds.
And, he taught me something really important, guys. He said, "You know what? Limit your options." This is going to sound crazy, but we have too many options in life. We make too many options. If a job don't work out, we'll move to the next job. If we start on this lifting, doesn't work out, we'll move on to something else. Everybody's always got a different option. Make success and making it to the end your only option. Whatever that endeavor is, limit yourself to one option. And that's what I tried to focus during my battle with this sarcoma.
Perfect advice. That's how I got through bloods. There's only one option here.
Yeah.
Make it.
Go through it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's rewind the tape a second. Remember, we're recording this too, so we can jump around. But before
Okay.
that you were really getting into some juicy stuff. But let's roll the tape back. Tell us who you are, where you're from, and give the listeners some amplifying information on you.
I'm from Brooksville, Florida, a little place north of Tampa. Grew up right near the Withlacoochee State Forest.
The what?
Riding horses, running in sugar sand, jump roping, going to this beautiful springs, the Weeki-Wachi. You can see crystal clear water to the ground. And, it was tough. I grew up in a single wide trailer, didn't have a lot, but I used everything around me for my success in high school and in life. I was fortunate enough to be on the wrestling team, football. I had a wrestling coach, Coach Pritz, who was a man of faith. He's a father of 5 boys. They tried to have a girl 5 times. They ended up with 5 boys.
Hey.
And, he taught me excellence. And in wrestling mentality, one of the greatest things I learned was you can be down by 5 points. You can be exhausted mentally and physically, but you're not out, because in 1 second you turn that around, get a pen, 6 points, you're right back in the game. So you're never out of the fight in wrestling. And there was one award. It was a coveted Mr. Guts award. And everybody wanted that. Not the most pens, the most wins, the most takedowns, Mr. Guts. And my senior year, I won Mr. Guts. And it's a guy who will, no matter what the pain is mentally and physically, for the team, you're going to get on that mat. And really kind of came to a head. One of our biggest matches, a team we hadn't beaten in 12 years. My coach moved me up from 185 to 220. This guy was a monster. 3/4 through the match, my left shoulder came completely out. Coach came, I said, "Coach, I can't go on." He said, "Listen, you led the team. You said we're going to win. We're going to beat this team. You can't quit now." Put my shoulder back in, and with 1 second left, the dude shot in on me, and I knew he wouldn't think I'd use my left shoulder that was completely dislocated to stepped over and pinned him, and we won the match. So, a never quit mentality, no matter what, you're on the mat or off the mat. Then from there, I had the opportunity, Iowa at that point, Florida wrestlers weren't really recognized. So I had the opportunity to get a wrestling scholarship to Dubuque College in Iowa. And it was a real opportunity to go up there and showcase what Florida wrestlers are doing and the hard work we're putting in.
Yeah, because that's all they do up there in Iowa is
That's it.
So what's the difference?
What's
What's the difference in the styles between North and Southern?
I think the main difference is that they start when they're 1 or 2 years old, and everything is wrestling and growing corn in Iowa.
Yeah.
And so it's they live it. Those wrestlers, and from family to family, and there's a lot more schools that do it. So I think Florida was a little behind at the time, but have caught up since 1988.
Yeah, we don't have wrestling here in Texas, I don't think. Got steer wrestling.
I mean, it is in some schools. In the bigger schools, it kind of migrated down. And then when MMA came online and the UFC came online, it kind of morphed into all the schools started popping up. If you've been in the sport and around this kind of life, you know how it works, man. It's something, but it's growing, obviously.
Yep. That's what we're seeing here too. My oldest son, Connor, was training for MMA. He was a wrestler too. So, but it's really growing here in Florida too. I know y'all kick everybody's ass in football out there in Texas.
Yeah, that's
Big
like
football
yeah. We do football.
Right? Yeah, it's a thing. The whole town shuts down, and Friday Night Lights. They make movies about it, good ones about it.
Yep, Friday Night Lights. So that's how Iowa is in wrestling. It's just everybody is focused on wrestling. Whole town shuts down.
So you're up in Iowa wrestling. You did the Pan Am Games, right?
I did. So between my junior and senior year in high school, I was on the Florida All-Stars, and I was the only one that won against a Pan American team that was up training. So I got invited to the Mexican Olympic Center in '87, and went down there. I was 17 years old, on my own, living with a family. And, I think part of it I won because at the time, there weren't a lot of 185-pound South Americans. But I went down there. I got to wrestle the Germans, the East Germans, the Soviets, the Chinese. Man, I'll tell you what, that was tough. A couple of them boys put me in the infirmary, and I didn't realize they were 25 grown men. I'm 17, arrogant, think I'm going down there to kick ass. I got my ass handed to me. But I learned a lot when I came back from Mexico City. My senior year, I started out 26-0 from getting my ass kicked to summer in Mexico City.
That back in the day when them Russians, what was the name of that big Russian, the Russian bear? I know you know.
Oh, yeah. Gosh.
Because that was a Nebraska boy that took him off his throne, wasn't it? Or an Iowa boy?
Yeah, it was an American guy took him off his throne.
Yeah.
He was undefeated.
What?
What was the entire Olympics, the world, everything. Never had lost.
Yeah, ever. And then I thought he was from Nebraska. Remember what I'm talking about?
Oh, I think I found it, but
Well, say it out
I don't know if I
loud.
can say this name. Alexander Karelin, does that sound right?
Yep, Karolinko.
Karelin. Oh,
Yep.
okay.
Yep.
Is
And then
there
a
a
big
move
American
named
dude
Is there a
was the
move
first to
named
beat
after
him.
him? Is there an airplane landing in that
It
room?
is pouring rain out right now.
Is that what that
That
is?
is what you're hearing right now.
Hell yeah. I think my windows are up.
Sounds like a jet out here.
I mean, this storm just landed right on top of us, Richie. I mean, I thought there was like a helicopter landing in here with us.
You want to hear a funny story? Right before I came down here, I was walking down. It was hot outside. I was like, man, it's hot. I rolled the windows down in my truck.
Are they down right now?
Yeah, they're down.
That's how Florida is. And I've never seen a storm like Texas. We drove after my surgeries and chemo. They said go home and rest. We packed up my wife's car and did a National Lampoon vacation for 17 days. We drove through Texas, and I think it rained the entire time we drove through Texas, doing about 30 miles an hour. Took us a while to get through.
Did you come through in August or May?
Pardon me?
When did you? What month was that?
July, I think.
So
About this time 6 years ago.
So the sweet spot is that's the May showers into the hurricane season. So you just you caught it perfectly. God Almighty, man!
It has
Yep.
if it's that loud, it means it's like
Because there's another
pouring
roof
out there.
above us.
yeah. Do we need to go get your windows up?
Oh hell yeah, dude!
Yeah, let me run it. I mean,
Or and call somebody up there?
what's that?
Call somebody up at the house? You good?
I mean,
Dude, it's too late, man.
It's too
Look
late.
at that.
Sorry, Richie.
No worries.
Yeah.
That's great. Okay, sorry, buddy. All right, so continue because you're really going to get into. We're about to drop bombs on the listeners right now. What happened to you in your life? So, I'll allow you to continue, brother.
So after that, I lost my brother Troy, who was like my soulmate. We were Irish twins. My only little brother. I was supposed to be with him the night he was murdered, and losing him was like nothing I'd ever experienced in my life at that time. And you feel alone in the world when you lose a brother. And then you add the part that I was supposed to go play basketball with him that night, but I'd fallen asleep because my firstborn son, we had him, we're taking care of him. You guys know how tired you are when you first have kids and working. So that was a really tough time and a defining moment when I lost my brother Troy, and the alone and a little bit of guilt, a lot of guilt I felt for thinking if I was there, we would have either lived together or died together. And at the time, it was the same to me. And what I found later, was there were people that stepped up like brothers and surrounded me and uplifted me. And though I miss my own brother terribly, God's put some men in my life that have been like brothers. So help me overcome that.
How old were you when that happened, buddy?
He was at a basketball court, and 4 guys jumped him, stabbed him with broken bottles, beat him, stomped him. They ended up, one of them, strangling him. But I went because I was going to write a book about it, because 3 have still not been held accountable. I met the detective, excuse me, and the detective said, let me tell you something. Your brother's the baddest dude I've ever seen in 17 years of being a detective, and he's in the FBI now. He said they started a fight with your brother, and by the crime scene, he probably fought 4 guys off for 15, 20 minutes, slipping in his own blood. He saw where his knees kept landing, the slip marks, and he's like, he just refused to go down. So, I'm like, well, because when the detectives first came to me, they said, your brother's been killed. And I said, how many were they? And they're like, he looked at me like I was crazy. And I said, 1 guy couldn't kill my brother. That's a fact. So I'm like, him and I fought every day. We were a year and a couple months apart. So we had some battles when we were younger. I said, 1 guy couldn't do it. So they knew, I knew him pretty well. So that was tough.
That'll go down in Florida as well?
Yes, sir. That went down in Tampa, Florida.
Tampa. Yeah, sorry
1996, January 7th.
Yeah. I lost my brother for 5 days. And luckily I got mine back, but I know what that feels like.
Yeah, not knowing, we didn't know for 3 days where he was, but I knew in my heart something was wrong. I knew immediately. And so, y'all have lost a lot of brothers. So that feeling and that guilt when you feel like, you're your brother's keeper. You're responsible for them. So, it was a long road overcoming that. And it really came, I tell people, when you lose someone, you think you should have spent more time, or you should have been there, or you could have done something. Really, there's only one question you can ask yourself. Did you love them? And if that question to that answer is yes, then that's all you need to know. So that's when I finally came to realize I loved my brother. I love him. And I know he's been watching over me. I've had some incredible things happen in my life.
I'm gonna put that one. I'm gonna keep that one for the rest of my life, because you're right. You always say, "Should I have been there? Was I around him enough? Did I do enough?"
Yep.
I've never heard anybody say that before. That's very powerful, bro.
All right, guys, let's take a second to thank our sponsors over at Fight Camp. You heard me talk about them before, and that is because if you're tired of doing the same old boring, outdated grandma workout, then it is time you check out Fight Camp. It is the way you can box and kickbox from home. They bring it all to you. They're going to give you those full body workouts that you're actually going to look forward to every single week. They give you a freestanding punching bag that'll take your hardest hits. It comes with everything you need. The punching bag, the boxing gloves, the quick hand wraps, their punch tracking sensors, everything. You don't have to think about it, all right? It is made for beginners to experienced boxers who want to box from home. Several different paths you can take. They'll teach you the skills you need along the way with workouts. They're going to help you reinforce those learnings. They're going to be exciting. It'll keep you from being bored with your old normal routine. It is great for kids too. Fight Camp is one of the only home workouts that are safe for kids to do because there are no heavy weights, there's no spinning wheels, and as soon as people get their Fight Camp bag, usually the kids are the one to go use it, all right? My niece came over right away as soon as I set it up and said, hey, Uncle Andrew, can I use the punching bag? Absolutely. It's super cool. The coolest thing about Fight Camp, though, is that technology that tracks each punch you throw to measure speed, volume, output, so you can follow your progress. You can push yourself to compete on the community leaderboard and challenge others. You can even do you versus you on the new versus mode. Seriously, if you're looking to change it up, if you're looking for a workout that's going to challenge you, that's exciting, Fight Camp is the way to go. They're going to give you everything you need to have a great workout. You can pay for your Fight Camp over 24 months less than the cost of a boxing gym, and you can get it right away. Plus,
I do that same thing. I'm like, all right, so what would happen if I did this or if I thought about that, and just,
Yep.
or would I miss this if I didn't have it?
Yep.
I try to teach my kids that too. That was one of the most valuable lessons I learned. But when it comes to running with your buddies and your brothers, there are times the time it's cover down on them, be with them, right? And
Yep.
and with their families and support them and help them and make them remember the great times and share the great times and the memories. That's that heavy burden on your shoulders, but it doesn't. It can become really light when you're telling the greatest parts about them.
Yes, that's a great point. And so it took me a while to realize that. When he died, I put all of his pictures away. I put everything about him. It's as if he didn't exist on the earth. And that was for about 5 years. And then my wife got pregnant with our second child, and he's going to be a boy. So I asked my mom and my grandmother, if you mind if I name him Troy, because I want to say the name Troy with love and happiness again. And then, you know, to your point, when we started talking and sharing the funny stories about him and the good stories, he was alive again. And it also took a big burden off everybody's shoulders.
Well, I mean, if you tell it, and you know, you talk about them enough, that's what my job. I love doing it. I love talking about my friends. It's my favorite thing to do. My brothers. You talk about them enough and the good qualities that they had, then people start to repeat them.
Yes.
And I so much so where you can notice it. I mean, it's just it's a good pass down. It's always
it is. And then they're alive again.
Yeah. All right. God damn, that's tragic. But you rebounded. You got your baby boy, the family. You said you got guys coming in. We have an inner circle of brothers that aren't blood relative, but you would know that they're not.
Yes. Yes.
And we always tell people, it's like, hey, look, you know, you surround yourself with champions, you'll be one. And we've spent a lifetime doing that. And it's very uplifting, like you said.
And
it is.
This isn't I'm not trying to insult you in any kind of capacity, man, but in the world that we run around in, the way your brother went out is awesome. I mean, it took that many dudes to take his ass down. They make ninja movies out of that, for God's sakes.
Thank you.
You know what I'm talking about?
That's what
I mean, when you
proud.
do that, that's what I would expect out of my brother, just to hear. I mean, there's no way anybody get that done. And then what's the decimation like? And then and then when they go out like that, I mean, how else do you want to? It's when you think about it in that capacity, then that you remove the doubt and the hurt, and it's kind of like, yeah, all right.
You're so right. When I found that out, you know, I was like, that's my brother. He went out with every breath he had, fighting for everything he had. It took 4 of them to, 15, 20 minutes to take him out. So, you know, as much as this hurt, I said, man, I knew he would go out like that if he ever had to. So
they only got one of them, though? They only prosecuted one of them?
So they followed a trail of blood for 1.5 miles. They prosecuted one. They have the blood evidence from the others. They actually went in and they went in and spoke to the state attorneys, all of them, and said that it was a fair fight, 4-on-1. But there were no offensive wounds on these guys. I pursued it for a long time. I actually had almost every governor in the state of Florida look into it. And the Florida Department of Law Enforcement did an investigation and saw the blood of 2 others there. They admitted being there. They said the case is still open. They opened a cold case that I kept pushing. I wrote hundreds of letters, emails, calls. And so it's still an open case. I'm still hoping the other 3 are held accountable. They know who they are. They have their names. They've interviewed them. There's witnesses. So
there has to be DNA somewhere nowadays.
There is. There's DNA there. 2 of them has DNA there. So it's a little perplexing. I think I've been told by a cold case detective that, you know, some people were pissed off that I kind of spurred some people when I went to the media and I kept fighting so much. And one of the governors called one of the state attorneys on the weekend on their vacation. But I told the state attorney, you told me if that was your brother, you would fight with everything you have. So I'm fighting with everything I have for justice for him.
Sure.
So I'm hoping one day we'll get it.
Might have. I know a future congressman that might be able to help you out with that.
Thank you. That would be amazing. That would be amazing.
Let's see if I can move some shit around.
All right, write that down.
Thank you.
Remember, that was the first thing he said. That shit doesn't get taken care of.
First days in office.
I was here for that when you said that.
Thank you, Morgan.
Oh, I'm happy to do that, buddy. Almost certainly will.
So you know, after that, I found this little saying when I recovered that from our darkest moments can rise our brightest hours, because I was living in Tampa at the time, and we moved with my wife and my firstborn son, Connor. I wanted to surround my mom with love because she had lost her baby boy. She'd always surrounded us with love and worked her ass off for us. And her and her husband had a health food store. She also ran the finances for a school board down there. And I started in our health food store, and I really just buried myself learning about spices and mushrooms and herbs and fruits and vegetables and the healthy benefits they have to kind of take my mind off of Troy. And I was working with customers every day. And from there, just found a new love about healthy eating and ginger and turmeric and mushrooms and what they can do for your body. And from there, grew into opportunity for a business. Started with some of the top companies in the world doing supplements and foods. And then in the early 2000s, I was eating lunch with my son Connor, and I really looked around. Everything was Lunchables and snack packs and really a lot of junk out there, high fructose corn syrup dyes. So I worked with a doctor who had a PhD in organic chemistry and one of the top gummy manufacturers in the US, Albanese. And we developed gummy supplements for kids with organic fruits, vegetables, spices. And we ended up being the first to get the USDA seal, the European Union seal, non-GMO project.
Wow, come on.
And
no one gets that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's legit.
Yeah, it was a lot of work. We're the first to do it. And we ended up expanding to HEB, Central Market, Publix supermarkets, Wegmans, health food stores around the world. And so everything was going great. I just told my wife, I feel stronger mentally and physically than I ever have. And then I got this little bump on my lower leg about the size of a pea. And my oldest son, Connor's like, Dad, that doesn't look like you should go to the doctor. So it was the first time, you know, I wasn't trying to be a badass or a hard ass, like, oh, I don't need to go to the doctor. So I went, they said it's a muscle tear. So I went back to work. And at that time I was training 5 days a week with a Force Recon Marine. And I was doing iron cross push-ups and I couldn't even do a single one. And he's like, what's wrong with you, Mr. Richie? I'm like, I don't know. Something's wrong.
What did it feel like? What that feel like?
That's the day when it started exploding.
Yeah. So back that up. So just so people know,
What's that?
what did that feel? I mean, just feel like you
feel
didn't have any energy, just no strength. All of this wasn't there.
It felt like somebody took a giant vacuum cleaner and sucked every ounce of energy I've ever had. I literally, you know, I pride myself. I'd do 100 push-ups every day since I was probably 16. I couldn't do one, not a single push-up. Had nothing, just absolutely spent. So I knew something was up.
Because you weren't sick. I mean, you didn't feel sick, right?
Didn't feel sick. Went, had my blood work done. Everything looked great. I was working out 5 days a week, working 20 hours a day, 7 days a week, drinking whiskey. You know, I tell you, I living, man.
Yeah.
Felt great, hiking. And then just boom, one day, something just hit me like a truck. I couldn't figure it out. And so I went back to an orthopedics a few times. They kept saying it's a muscle tear. And then after about 3 months, they said, let's do an MRI. And they did an MRI, and they said, let me back it up. Before the MRI, they took x-rays, they saw nothing. They said, you know what? We think it's a muscle tear. Unless you want to have a surgery, you just have to live with it. But at this point, I was sleeping only 2 hours a night, sitting up, and I would drink a half a bottle of whiskey for the pain, literally, and then get up.
Oh, so I was hurting. It was starting to hurt.
Oh, starting to hurt. Like, it felt like somebody had a vice grip, twisting and tearing and just tightening it down.
On that spot?
Yeah, on that spot, deep in my lower inside calf. Like pain I've never experienced in my life. So I told my wife, this is not a muscle tear. I got to figure this out. We went and they did an MRI. Doctor called me back. He scooted this close to me. He leaned in. He was white as a ghost. He held my hand, said, I'm going to say a prayer for you. And I'm like, a prayer? What about prescription? And he's like, it looks like a really aggressive sarcoma. And I'm like, sir, what? He said, it's a really rare cancer. And the tumor has grown inward and almost to your bones, your tibia and your fibula. And he said, I'm giving you a number to a doctor right now. And I want you to immediately go see him, then start chemo, radiation. They'll probably have to amputate your leg. So I looked at this guy like he was crazy. He's a quack.
Shit, Doc, is that all you got? That's all you got for me, Doc?
Right? A prayer.
I mean,
a phone number.
Hold on for a second,
A
man.
prayer and a phone number. Yeah.
Wait a minute.
How much that gonna cost me?
You ain't got to step on the gas like that.
So I called my wife. I said, listen, this guy just told me I got this rare cancer. That's impossible. Because I've been a vegetarian for a year and I haven't eaten bacon for 15 years. There's no way in hell I have cancer.
I demand that I don't, because I gave up bacon, that I don't have that.
Yeah. You know, they told me bacon's bad for me because I study food. Then I'm like, what the hell was I thinking? I almost died not eating bacon. I have a BLT once a week now.
Bullshit,
I can tell you that.
Thank you.
So we went to this doctor he recommended, and he ran a report. They sent everything to all the big universities and cancer clinics. And he said, you've got leiomyosarcoma.
Leiomyosarcoma.
Sarcoma. It took me 7 years to even learn how to pronounce it. Leiomyosarcoma. It's of the soft tissue. And he said, we're going to amputate your leg and you're going to move to chemo and radiation. I said, whoa, doc. You're not taking my leg. And he said, listen, I'm not worried about your leg. I'm worried about your life. That's all I care about. So my wife and I left there. I'm like, you know what? I still hadn't accepted it. I'm like, this still cannot be what they're saying. And then I looked it up over the weekend. I had to think about it. And I'm like, man, I might be in a little bit of trouble here. It's a really aggressive cancer. It explodes and grows. Mine turned out to be 15 centimeters. And it's like hurricanes. Under 5 centimeters, you know, is a Cat 1. 5 to 10, that's a Cat 3. Above 10 centimeters is like Katrina times 5. So it was aggressive. It was necrosis. It was eating my tissue, high grade. And so I was like, and the survivability was around 1 to 7% on what I had, according to the numbers.
Let's start off as a bump on your leg?
Yep, started as a tiny little bump on my lower leg. So, you know, they could have scooped it out if they had gotten it, but, you know, I realized what's done is done, and now I'm in for a fight. But I said, you know what, this thing's not taking me. They're going to have to cut my heart out before I quit.
Let's take a second to thank our sponsors over at Proton. There are a lot of you guys out there who are business owners just like me. Entrepreneurs, independent professionals, CEOs, executives, and last year was tough for all of us. I know that for many of us, just the fact that we made it through last year and we're still entrepreneurs and we're still business owners, that is a big accomplishment. And I've partnered with Proton to help you guys make 2021 your biggest year ever. Proton has got an incredible free offer for you guys, but before I get into that, let me tell you a little bit about them. Proton is the smartest, fastest, and easiest business solution I've found for growing and managing my business. They'll help you increase sales, they'll help you convert leads, they'll help you schedule your appointments, manage payments, and a lot more than that. My favorite feature is how it's going to help you create attention-grabbing videos for your business. And it'll actually help you strategically release those videos to help you elevate your brand above your competitors in the search results. Now, if you've been using social media for the last couple of months, the last couple of years, you know Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, all of these platforms are just game changers. And all of it comes back down to how popular video is. If you're looking to grow your business and you're not spending time doing videos for your business, then you're really missing out. You're losing a lot of opportunity to grow in ways that you're not right now. My brand, my business, we're actually recording videos every single week, scheduling them to be dropped out on our YouTube channel. That way we can be resources. We can be established as the experts in our industry. You guys should be doing the same. Proton's going to give the first 100 qualified businesses Proton for free. Plus they're going to give you $1,000 worth of Proton.
So fortunately, guys, I was really lucky because it was rare in somebody my age. I was in good shape. So I had a lot of hospitals reach out to me, a lot of universities and researchers. And I ended up going with Moffitt in Tampa and Dr. Doug Letson and his PA, Dave Johnson. And they said, listen, this is an emergency situation, but we want to have a plan. And I said, well, I'm going to Alaska with the family. Then I come back, we'll start all this. And he's like, that's going to be the last trip you ever go on. So I'm like, all right, maybe I'll stay. So we,
again, if you put it like that,
yeah,
I mean,
yeah, I'm like, I'm not going.
Appreciate
so
the bluntness.
So he came up with a plan, 400 hours of chemotherapy, 96 hours at a time. Then he was trying to decide if he could save my bones. But he said when the last MRI came, the tumor had started to grow into my tibia and fibula through my bones. So he's like, you know, God kind of made that decision for us. We're going to have to take out your knee, your tibia.
They took your knee?
Pardon me?
They took your knee?
Yep, they took my knee out and
yeah.
put a steel knee in a titanium rod. And so they took out all my bones below my knee, actually below my thigh, and just left my foot in. And I had a spike that went from the top into my foot and then a spike drilled into my femur. And all the rest was bones. the leg at the bottom was about this big around, and it looked like the Terminator. It was just skin wrapped around metal. That's it. So
you still got it like that, or does it still look like that, or did they take it?
No, so they took it in 2020.
Okay.
It's about 4 or 5 months ago, December 16th. They took my leg after 7 years, almost 7 years.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean. All right, go back. So,
sorry about that.
All right,
Wait a second. Back up. You're saying that they had dropped 2 rods from your actual foot, still attached with skin, and then it was wedged up into your knee, your femur, or
wedged up into my femur.
Yep.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Okay. And the arteries and veins in that foot and the skin still lived?
Yeah, so that's the crazy thing. My doctor said...
That's what you're saying, right?
Yeah, he's like, I don't understand you. So they had to take out 2 of the 3 arteries because the tumor had killed 2 of the 3. And when he got in there for the surgery, he said if it would have had wrapped around the last artery, I couldn't keep my leg. But I still had 1 artery in the back that was good, and they took out 90% of my veins. So he's like, I was sure you were going to have a skin graft and you would lose it at some point. But that 1 artery, your body's amazing and your mind, that 1 artery sustained what was left of my leg and my foot for almost 7 years. 1 artery.
Could you feel your foot? How did that look? Like could you touch and feel your foot?
I could feel my foot. I still have my foot.
I've never heard awesome.
Dude.
Was there pictures?
Is this guy messing with us? Is
Yeah,
that true? That's
I'll
awesome.
I'll have my wife send something.
It should be a painting on the back of that wall next to those beautiful horses.
I'll see if I can. I'll look and see if I can find it. 1 second. Mimi, can you find it? It's
That's what I thought he said.
So they took your knee and your knee joint and everything out of the equation. So you had straight running from. It
was like walking up without shocks.
Straight.
Yep, just straight steel knee, titanium rod, drilled on either side.
Could you bend that steel knee?
I could, and that was hell, man. Trying to learn how to bend that thing, and then they cut my calf in half, wrapped it around the front of my leg, and then he used a piece of my calf to attach to the knee. Yep, to use as a flexor.
Dude, this guy, Doc Frankenstein, did a number, right, man?
Yeah, I did look like kids, and people would see me walking and stare and scream.
Could you kick a wall and people are like, what the fuck?
Yeah, people stare.
That guy went to work on you, man.
So I'll see if I can find that real quick.
Dude, that's insane.
It is. How's your mobility now, though?
Probably a lot better.
So the mobility now is getting better. I had pretty good mobility then because they told me I wasn't be able to do anything, but I was like, forget this. So I started training really hard.
Yeah, so what does that mean? I don't mean to interrupt you, but you're making great points. Like when a lot of times when people say that, when they talk to us, we skirt over. What does that mean? Like when they say you couldn't do this, to what level? Like sit around, do nothing. That's not how we're designed.
No, that's exactly it. They're like, a wheelchair, a scooter, take it easy, don't walk a lot, don't work out a lot. And initially he told me kind of put my feet up because I didn't have a lot of time left. So I should just enjoy my time. But we're not built. I believe our bodies are made to move. And when we stop moving, that's when we've got a problem.
That's when you die, when you stop moving.
Yes. So, I just looked at it as if, even though they took all of this, I'm going to do everything that I can with it. And I walked a 5K. Yeah, here. Yeah.
I see her foot.
I see it.
I see the foot. I see her foot.
Yeah.
In the mirror off the dresser.
So here is the actual. So you see, it goes.
Did you keep that after they cut it off? Please say yes.
My wife wanted to. I was going to make a statue of it.
You should have.
They wouldn't let us keep it.
Oh, wait a minute. House. That sounds like that should have been a lamp.
You see the difference in the legs.
Oh, yeah. Wow. That's impressive.
So I did a 5K on that. It took me 3.5 hours, but I did it. Then I got a fracture in my other foot. I walked, I hiked. We went to the Grand Canyon with it. And my boys had to carry me out. We went to North Rim. I got up there, but I couldn't get out. I was exhausted. I was on a walker. So I'm like, let's get out of here. So, but when going back a little bit with my doctor, I said, you know what? In wrestling, you're only as good as your partner, like a team that you all know. And I said, we're partners now. So hit me as hard as you can. And and hit me some more. And then when you think I have anything left, I will. But I'll tell you, Marcus, after 300 hours of chemo, I was like, what the hell was I thinking telling him to hit me that hard with that much chemo, 96 hours at a time? And my daughter never left my side for 400 hours. She laid next to me. My boys, it was real tough on them. But my daughter, Sydney, never left my side, stayed 96 hours each time with me in a single hospital bed. So that really, really uplifted me.
That gets them out of a lot of trouble when
you lose all your hair and everything. Did you lose all your hair?
I did. I looked like a chubby Ninja Turtle. I tell you that. We didn't realize
which one.
Yeah. And you know what? They don't tell you. You lose your toenails.
Oh yeah.
And your fingernails.
Yeah.
Yeah. They all came out. That really freaked me out. It caught on a big toe, caught on a cover, and it ripped out.
I'll keep going with that story. God, man, that just went right up the spine, dude. Like,
And speaking of that, how's y'all's mom doing? I saw she battled cancer.
She did.
How's she doing?
She whipped it like it was a flu.
Yeah.
She
no big deal.
Not even a.
Marcus and I. After she had her double mastectomy, the nurse came out of the waiting room and grabbed Marcus and I because she's like, I want to see my boys. And she came. The nurse came out and got us, and as we went through the double doors to go back into the area where she was at, and we were like, how's she doing? And the nurse was like, well, if you're quiet enough, you'll hear her singing. And she was back there singing Willie Nelson songs.
Yeah.
She's ready to go home.
Wow,
and then
awesome.
Right after, in recovery, she's like, I'm ready to go home. Let's go.
We switched that pain concept in her head. It's like, all right, Ma, the night before, I remember going down there with her. And because Melanie and his wife took her and a lot of the girls were facilitating her to the hospital beforehand, doing all that. I was like, Mom, beforehand, it's like going down to the gym. We're going to work out real, real hard. Now, when you're laying down after you get done working out, the next few days, you're real sore. I was like, it's what your chest's going to feel like. It's just real sore, so just lay there, and we'll spoil your rut. And she's like, all right. So after we got her back to the house, man, everyone left. We were just up there. I doctored her up. And maybe it was a week, maybe 9 days.
Right.
And on that 9th day, she's like, I'm ready to get back to my house. Take me home.
Yeah.
And she never looked back.
What a badass.
Yeah.
She is.
What a badass. She's doing well now.
Yeah, thanks for asking.
Yeah, thank you for asking. That means a lot.
You're very welcome. I saw that on a post, and I was sending prayers and love. And, you know, I saw a lot of women before me that have mastectomies, and, you know, it made me think about when I was going to get my leg amputated. You know, I'm like, these warriors have done it before me. They've lost parts of them, very, very important parts. And, you know, losing a piece of my leg to keep the rest of me here is something, you know, I'm ready to do. And I'd made that decision before my sarcoma came back. Last November, it came back in a spot that we knew it might come back. We didn't get clear margins. So they said, now we really have to amputate your leg quickly. I was trying to convince my doctors to do it for a year. They said I wasn't ready mentally and physically. And I think also my doctor had said my leg was kind of his Picasso, the limb salvage surgery he did. So that's like asking him to throw red paint on his Picasso, amputating it. But
I tell you what, military doctors, and just because Mark's and I have been in the space so long, and just we got so many friends with a limb that have lost limbs. Doctors don't even look. They're like, with the technology today, take it right now. Just get rid of it. I mean, especially if you have a joint there that you can put underneath it, but statistically, taking it and just putting a prosthetic on there, the quality of life for you guys after the fact is just exponentially better.
Oh man,
I agree completely.
Guys having 80 surgeries to keep
quickly.
one leg. Remember that? I mean that's their leg. I get that, but almost 100 surgeries, 50, 60, 70 surgeries to keep that leg. But now the prosthetics are such amazing technology.
Because they took your knee now, correct? That you're above the amputation?
Yeah, above the knee amputee. And, you know, my heart goes out to veterans who've lost limbs. At least, you know, I had a chance to be mentally prepared to what I thought I was. And it was in a controlled environment. I could not imagine.
Shit, man. I tell you what, man, it happened so fast to those guys. Boom. Yeah. I think it might be worse that you have to do like, oh, look, in 3 weeks, I got to get my leg cut off.
Yeah, so that's funny because
right?
Yeah, Yeah. So this happened. They're going to cut my leg off. And then they said, okay, we have to change the date. So they told me the night before. So I'm all worked up physically. Maybe I'm sick to my stomach. They called me and said they have to change it.
Did you go out dancing with it one more time?
It felt like,
I went
just check it out.
dancing, walking, drinking.
Put on some new socks.
it probably felt like a reprieve. You're like, oh, I don't have to go. I got cut something off of me.
So that happened 3 times. So I was
Oh, dude,
each time I got ready.
Yeah.
So this time I'm like, are we really doing this?
All right, guys, let's take a second to thank our sponsors over at Truebill. I am notorious for signing up for those free trials with the intentions to cancel them, and 14 to 21 days later, they charge my card, and then I have the intentions to cancel the subscription, and I don't. And the problem is, I have all these subscriptions that I've signed up for that I keep forgetting that I've signed up for, and they're costing me money. Truebill is the new app that helps you identify and stop paying for subscriptions you don't need, you don't want, or maybe you simply forgot about. On average, people are saving up to $720 a year. That's a lot of money, y'all, because companies make subscriptions hard to cancel. You guys know it. Truebill makes it incredibly simple. Just link your accounts. Truebill will cancel your unwanted subscriptions in one tap. They've actually saved me $300 or $400 this year alone on a subscription that I forgot about, and I'm sure that there's more that they're going to help me find. And your Truebill concierge is there when you need them to cancel those unwanted subscriptions so you don't have to. I really do love them. I mean, there was that one thing I was paying for every single month. I think it was I don't even remember what it was, honestly. All I remember was I could not figure out how to cancel the dang thing, and I kept seeing it pop up my bank statements every single month, and they were able to cancel it in a couple weeks. From those forgotten free trials to those automatic renewals, there's a ton of CEOs out there making a ton of money from that free trial you forgot to cancel. So if you're suffering from way too many subscription syndrome, there is a way out, and you won't even have to talk to anyone. Let Truebill do the work and set you free. Don't fall for subscription scams. Start canceling.
So December 16th, it was on, and the hospital's been amazing, but it was in the middle of COVID, so there was a little bit of communication lapse. And my wife, they had talked to her, and they thought she'd left, so they didn't put in a PICC line. So when I woke up in recovery, I was in pain like you couldn't imagine, guys.
Oh, yeah.
And they're like, well, you have a PICC line. So I get up to my room, and I told the nurse, whose name's Amanda, something's wrong. This is horrible. And she's like, well, you have a PICC line. And then another nurse came in, was the name Amanda. And I was like, how many Amandas are here? And I need to see a doctor. Something's really wrong. The doctor comes in. Her name's Amanda. So 3 Amandas in a row, and none of them know each other.
They call that a goocher?
Yeah. And the point, there was no PICC line. 3 hours. I went 3 hours after my amputation with no pain meds. And I saw my wife, and I said, please tell me your name's not Amanda. I start crying. I thought I'd gone to heaven and everybody's name was Amanda. Or hell, one or the other.
Yeah.
So
They probably do that
tough.
on purpose. So if you start yelling at them,
Somebody's mad about
It was Amanda.
Yeah. So I'm like, hit me with anything and everything. Like, oh, we can only give you 5 milligrams at a time. I'm like, please put like 3 zeros behind that 5.
Yeah, just
So
I just need fentanyl on board, stacked.
Yes, please. So
I did my
I'll
hospital
recover quick.
rotations down in Tampa at Bayfront. I mean, the hospital systems down there are great, fantastic. The people are wonderful. I mean, every hospital you got stories like that. But that's awesome.
So January this year, you got it cut?
December 16th, 2020.
20. Okay, so just recently. So, you're not really out of the woods yet. It's not even probably, is it closed up completely?
So here's a great thing. I was only in there 3 days. I said, they said if you can walk, faster you can walk, you can get out of here. So first day I got on a walker. I walked farthest they said anybody ever has. Then the second day I was exhausted, and I wasn't going anywhere. But this little nurse said, Richie, you walk, you can get out of here. And I said no over and over. Then she's like, if you walk, I'll give you a cheeseburger and a Sprite.
Oh.
And I'm like, all right, go get the belt. Let's go. So I got out in 3 days, guys.
Again, lead with that.
It healed so quickly that they put a prosthetic on it 6 weeks after it was cut off. And I quickly moved from a wheelchair to a walker. Now I'm on single arm crutches. I'm walking down the driveway. I'm working out. I'm lifting. So it's moving at light speed. They said I'm really about a year ahead of and above the knee amputee.
I'll tell you what, I don't know, they're not really there yet, but eventually they're going to have those bionic knee prosthetics.
Yes.
Put you back.
It's where just attach.
Make it look cool.
Right?
Make it look cool when you're walking, huh?
And it'll probably get to where, because the sooner you attach those two things and they start working together, the sooner it heals up, right? You just kind of prove that.
Yep. They, and the pain was pretty bad, but after it healed in about 6 weeks, they said, we've never seen somebody heal that quickly. They gave me the prosthetic, and I just kind of worked through the pain on that, the nerves hitting at the bone, all that, but just kept grinding. And now I'm as active as I've ever been with the arm crutches. And it looks like in the next month or two, I'll be down to one arm crutch or less, and then walking on my own. Want to start running again, hiking, doing all that fun stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I've been going in my head. We've got guys. I mean, I don't know how many amputees we know. Double above the knee. Dana's double above the knee. And man,
I didn't even know he was missing his legs. And he fell down. I was making fun of him.
Yeah.
Oh damn!
He kept falling. We were like, "What the hell?
Falling. What the hell's wrong?"
hell
He's like,
you doing,
my
bro?
leg stuck in the damn mud, dude. And he ripped it
Yeah.
off. I was like, "Man, you're missing your leg." He's like,
Dana-
"Yeah, I'm missing both of
Yeah,
them."
check that guy out, Rich. Look him up, Dana Bowman.
Dana Bowman,
His
man.
accident is on YouTube. He was a Golden Knight, and he collided with his buddy, and his buddy's arm hit him in the legs and took both his legs off, flesh to flesh, midair impact.
You can see it.
Insane.
It's on. They're videoing it.
I mean, just like
I'm gonna
this
look that up.
explosion of blood in the air, and everybody's like, "Oh my
It's
god!"
like somebody blew up a watermelon in the air. It's unbelievable.
Do you have other amputees around you that you get to kind of pal around with? That's important. If you don't.
I do. I was introduced to a guy in Inverness, Florida, near where I grew up, and he had an adventure company in Costa Rica. Really cool dude. And he's kind of been an inspiration and guided me through this above the knee amputee. He just went on 4-mile runs in Brockenbush on a snowboard with his prosthetic. So he's really been a great inspiration to me and a leader. That's what I've tried to do.
Yeah. Chad Fleming, man.
People like that.
dude's a-
Joey's double leg above me. Oh man, we got a bunch of them.
I know. Do they have?
I couldn't
Do y'all have your
imagine
own
double
clubs?
legs
Like if
above
you're
me.
below the knee, you can't hang. It's different than
Oh,
being
well,
above.
there's nicknames. I don't know if you've been introduced to that yet, but if you're ever in a circle
Everything
of
me is rank.
yeah, they got
It's an award system.
they got a bob, a dash, a question. I mean, a period.
There has to be with military guys. You knew that, or guys like
Right.
it's a
Yeah.
thing, man.
You got an EOD guy that lost both arms and both legs.
Yeah.
We call him Spud.
Well, I can tell you, my only dream I wanted to be was Marine. I was going to wrestle for the Marines and passed everything with flying colors right out of high school. And then I was born deaf in my right ear. So when I went in for the recruiting sergeant, he was doing the ear test behind the glass. So I thought I was just going to raise my right hand intermittently, try to guess it right. So he's like, hold on, we got loose wires. And then he's like, Richard, hold on, I got to switch a machine out. And I'm just going like this. He comes in, he's like, Richard, let me ask you something. You're the deaf or crazy or both? Because when I turn it to the highest sound there is, you don't respond. And when nothing's there, you raise your hand. I said, well, I was born deaf in my right ear. And they tried to fix it, but I had dead nerves. So I'm like, what am I going to do now? All I wanted to be was a Marine. And then I end up making gummy bears, which is a far stretch.
God has a plan, buddy.
God has a plan. It should have been like,
Yes.
which one of those answers will
I
let me
don't
get
know
into
why.
the military?
I mean, honestly, if you can hear out of one ear, what's the difference? I mean, because Marines go deaf anyway.
we're all everyone goes deaf there. Anyhow,
That's what I was hoping. I said, you can't just hit the check mark. Man, I was wanting to get in. So, but I've recovered quickly from the amputation, better than they thought they would. But I really, attribute a lot of that to things I've eaten over the last 20 years. Mushrooms, ginger, turmeric, holy basil. I think it's also really helped me with my sarcoma. They were sure it had gone to my lungs, but I've been very fortunate because sarcomas and leiomyosarcoma go to your lungs. But, the things I've tried to eat and work out and my mindset, never quit, no matter what I'm up against, has really helped me make it almost 7 years with this sarcoma that I've watched a lot of friends and people I've met have died from this disease and cancer. And I'm so grateful for another breath and try to live in gratitude every moment.
I tell you, we got a buddy who, you're one of those guys that every time we'll get, and there's more to your story. Every time you turn the corner, it seems like after you're having a great run, you just get hit right in the nuts. We had a buddy that got shot. Marcus actually saved his life. And then he rebounds from damn near killed him. Blew up his lungs, blew his brachial artery, lost the use of his arm. And he's rebounding through that. And then on a happenstance test while he's in the hospital on his something, they find testicular cancer. They go in, they cut his kids off. Cut one of them off, I think.
Oh, yeah. Well, dude, of course, because he's still got 19 kids.
And then he rebounds from that. And then shortly thereafter, like weeks after, this isn't a matter of weeks, he goes in and his heart fails. Damn. I mean, we were laying on the floor with him at his house after all this, after he just got his nut cut off. And I was like, you know what, man, Andy? And he's like, he's kind of laying there, kind of half-assed out of it. And I'm laying there, I'm like, hey, Andy. His name's Andy Halfley. He's one of our best friends. I was like, man, I've been laying here thinking a lot about you. And he's like, oh, yeah. I was like, I think God hates you. He started laughing his ass off. And I was like, what do you think about that? And he's like, no, bro, God loves me because he's challenging me every day. And I was like, well, let's just agree to disagree.
That's funny. That's funny you should say that. I tell people I'm too good for the devil and God doesn't want me yet. So I'm kind of stuck here in the middle.
This episode of the podcast is brought to you by GoodRx. Getting the care you need to stay healthy should not be hard, and it should definitely not be expensive. I think everyone should be able to afford their medications, and that is why you guys need to check out GoodRx. They are helping folks find the lowest prices on their prescriptions every single time. With GoodRx, you can instantly compare prices for your prescription at every pharmacy in your neighborhood and save up to 80%. 80% is a ton of money to save. I didn't know there was that much money to save. GoodRx is free and easy to use, and many times it is often cheaper than using your insurance or copay or even Medicare. With GoodRx, you can find discounts for your prescriptions at over 70,000 pharmacies like CVS, Kroger, Walgreens, Rite Aid, Vons, Walmart, and more. And GoodRx is the #1 most downloaded medical app, and millions of Americans are using it to get affordable healthcare every single month. If you're tired of going to the pharmacy and paying way too much for your medicine, if you're tired of hearing about people in your family, your mom, your sister, your daughter, your niece, your nephew, whoever it is, paying way too much for good health, for affordable medications, then you need to be telling them about GoodRx. You can start saving up to 80% on your prescriptions today. Tell them to go to goodrx.com/TNQ. That is goodrx.com/TNQ. goodrx.com/TNQ. GoodRx is not insurance, but can be used instead of insurance. In 2020, GoodRx users received an average savings over 70% of retail prices. One more time, guys, go to goodrx.com/TNQ and save on your medication.
But I think you guys said it earlier. I mean, when you go through those fires and those challenges, you look at things in a different perspective. And one of the things, it might sound crazy. A part of me is grateful some of these things have happened because, I've been able to inspire some people that have seen my stories, and people DM me and different social media, reach out to me and say, my mom is struggling, or my brother, or my son, or there's some words you can email, or can you help us with some of the things you've eaten, or nutrition, or just your smile. I had a guy who said he lost his foot in the military. He kind of given up for a little while. And then he saw me doing some push-ups with one leg, and he said, I started doing modified push-ups. So, I think I've been inspired and uplifted by people like y'all and other people around me along this journey. And then I feel I have a duty that to do the same, to try to inspire, uplift people where I can, just trying to make it to the next finish line.
It's great because we need people like you, because a lot of folks that will face adversity like you have will give up, and they don't understand if you just keep moving forward.
Yes.
What your life will be.
Yes. And so, and even if you stop a few times, just rest a little bit, then keep going. And it seems like, to your point, every time when I think I can't make it to that next moment, and Marcus, I said it earlier, but you've inspired me like few people have in this world. Maybe only my mother. With the story you wrote and your love of your brothers and a warrior and human being, and when I heard those words, no matter how much it hurts or how dark it gets, how far you fall, you're never out of the fight. Man, I was close to quitting. And I said, you know what? I'm not quitting. I am not quitting. And that was 2014. I was on 300 hours of chemotherapy. So, thank God there's people like y'all in this world, Morgan and Marcus, and lifting people up in communities. And, me and my family have such a reverence for veterans and our service people, for the amazing sacrifices you make for all of us. You're away from your families, around the world, putting yourselves in danger for all of us. And, I've always tried my best any way I can to support veterans and military, because of everything you all have given for us.
Well, man, that's the reason we kind of all run at different paces. So when it's time for you to take a break, you hit a line, you look up, there's always somebody going. I mean,
Yes.
when we have hard times, that's what's a team. So we all lived in one neighborhood. If I was having a bad day, I was like, man, I'm gonna go over and see what Richie's doing, because I know he's probably had a worse day. And then vice versa, right? And that's how it's weighed out.
Yep.
You just have to have a visual of it. You just got to be able to see it, or lay eyes on something that you, in your mind, in your mind's eye, know that is how tough that is, and that you wouldn't want to have to go through it. That means that you took it. It's like everyone tells me they didn't want to have to walk what I had to go through. I was like, well, man, I say the same thing about my brother all the time, and we say the same thing about you when we hear your stories. But if there's that builds resolve. Like, it's that push-pull between heaven and both sides. That's what you were talking about.
Yes.
Well, that in itself creates something. It morphs us into something when you're just sitting in the middle. I mean, you just kind of in the grind out of it. It sharpens you, and you see things differently. There's a spice of life that's better. I mean, our one of our favorite quotes is, "Don't show back up what you got issued down here. You better have lived some life."
Yep,
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's why we're covered in scars and tattoos, and I mean everything in between, man.
And
We even showed up with extra stuff. We weren't even issued.
And your lovely bride, she's been with you through the thick of it. I'm assuming, huh?
She has. My wife Mimi is my rock. That saying, somebody's character when nobody's looking. When nobody's looking, she has been a nurse, a mother, a businesswoman, and just an amazing partner in everything we've done. She changed my bandages, which I wouldn't even want to have done when I had my limb salvage surgery. It was nasty with my amputation. She's rescued me a few times. She thought I died one time. I felt bad. I felt horrible. I had a syncopal episode, and I told her I needed to lay down, and my eyes rolled back in my head. And turns out I needed a shot after my 400-hour of chemo to get my white blood cells back. And she thought I died. Excuse me. And I thought I died, went to hell, because I woke up with a 300-pound man on top of me trying to put in IVs, and he missed 7 times, and he started sweating so bad. He's like, is it okay if we take a break? I said, listen, man, I just want to go home at this point.
I don't know what's happening here, but
yeah. So they took me to the hospital, and turns out my brain was really dehydrated from the chemo, but I recovered quickly. But Mimi has been a rock. I'm thankful to have her by my side.
Yeah, I always like to throw a special shout out to the spouses that walk side by side with us.
Yeah,
they go through a lot.
A lot. We're about to have our 26th anniversary. I told her, I don't know how she's put up with me for 26 years.
26
I couldn't stand her
years.
be around me for a year,
I know.
let alone 26.
it's like we become their favorite pet, right? It's like, I gotta heal them up, even though he's one leg, is whatever, man.
Yes.
They just fall in love with us.
So,
Thank
she's
God.
been a co-founder in our new company, McPeak. I sent you all some of our products a while back, and
Thanks for that.
we also ship a lot to veterans and their families, and develop them. I shipped a lot over to Afghanistan and Iraq to my friends that were there, and a young man that bought our products from my previous brand one time in the States, and he couldn't get them in Afghanistan. And I said, listen, as long as you're over there, we'll send a package. And I put the picture up a couple times, young kid who said, I got the package, Mr. McPeak, and I feel better, but really it's raised my morale. And he had saw my story on Instagram and said I inspired him, but I said, no, it's you that it's inspiring me. And we ended up becoming pen pals. We email each other, young guy with a family now back in the States, Kevin F. So, we've tried to do everything we can. with our company to support veterans and their families and communities.
That's great.
Right on, brother.
I tell you, to get things like that over there in that dirt hole of a place, man, it's the little things that get you through one more day.
You don't think that either. I remember how many times we went overseas and they're like, "Hey, can we write you, send you anything?" Like, no, I don't need anything. Especially during the holidays. And there'd be a package showed up. We didn't even have our name on it. It just something showed up for you. It said soldier on it. You open that thing up and it would have just, I don't know, love. Kind of love just pour out or something, man. Just
a box of Skittles. We're like, thank God.
Thank God. That's one of my buddies. I got him a box over there. Made it through somehow. A bottle of Johnny Walker Black, some cigars, Doritos, and a Maxim.
Dude.
He's like, man. And it showed up right near the 4th of July. He's like, I was the hero.
Oh.
I shared it with all my buddies. He was so
most
happy.
certainly, because it ain't because of that scotch. It's because of that Maxim.
Yeah.
Been there.
So we I've been fortunate to be surrounded by Mimi and an incredible family that's really helped me through this journey as well.
Are you back in your hometown? Or are you down in Tampa? You said it, but I forget.
So I'm in Apopka, Florida, right outside of Orlando.
Okay.
Near Altamont. But our manufacturer for our new company's in Tampa. So I go over there a lot. And my hospital that I go to, I'm still with them at Moffitt, Dr. Letson and his team, Dave Johnson. And these guys text me. We stay in touch. They've been amazing. I thank them for one of the reasons I'm alive. I mean, you all know when you're surrounded by an amazing team that'll go through walls for each other. And these guys make sure they check on me, and any little thing goes wrong, they get me in quickly and we get it straightened out. So I'm incredibly thankful for that team over there in Tampa.
Absolutely.
Well, Richie, you've not even fully shared the entire Never Quit story, but I'd imagine that with all that you've experienced through life, you've probably got some pretty good Never Quit advice for the listeners. Can you leave us with one word of wisdom?
Thank you, Andrew. I could that every step is a finish line. No matter what you're going through, you don't have to make it to the end of the day or the month of the year. Just make it to your next moment, your next step, everything you got. That's the best advice I can share with people over this 7-year journey of, losing my knee, my tibia, my fibula, my leg, some loved ones. But I've also been incredibly blessed with a beautiful family and friends and successful companies through hard work and excellence, and being on this show with Marcus and Morgan. I'm so grateful, Andrew, that I was invited. This is a true honor in my life. One of the heights of my life, guys.
Oh man, I appreciate that.
I don't mind. We're humbled to be in your presence, partner.
Well, how can our people support you? What you got going on, your company? Why don't you give us a big shout out to all the stuff you got going?
So we just launched in the middle of COVID. Actually, the day my leg was amputated, I really put the burden on my wife. We launched our new brand, McPeak. And,
I'm going to go here and take it easy. I need you to get this up and running. That's how great the women are. That's good thinking, bro.
Yeah, we got right there that I'm like, I'm going to take a little break. You guys get this going.
Right.
So it just
I would always go out of town or leave on deployment. Morgan had to pack us up and move us.
Son of a bitch.
Brilliant timing. So Andrew, McPeak is a company. We've always made all of our products here in the United States for the past 20 years. All of our ingredients here. We're partnered with a food scientist, top food scientist, a PhD in organic chemistry, and a great team of leadership. And our powders, what we do is single serving powders. We have vitamin D3, zinc, elderberry. We have immune, hydration. We're about to launch some products I'm going to send to y'all. It's going to be the first 7 organic mushrooms in a little powder pack called Magnificent 7. And they taste like strawberry soda with 0 grams of sugar. And these mushrooms are amazing for energy, stamina, focus, detox. So with our company, it's all single serving packs, 100% recyclable, and they can be sent anywhere around the world. And, we would love for y'all to visit us at mcpeakmarket.com. And that's where our company is. We do all of our own distribution and shipping. And we can make a code for the listeners, Marcus and Morgan, and do a 25% off code for all the listeners, and then give back money to y'all's favorite charity.
That's awesome.
Wow.
That'd be super cool. Yeah.
Thank you.
And what about social media? Where are you at on social?
So on social media, mcpeakmarket.com, is our social media, and I'm at Richie McPeak on Instagram.
Awesome. Hey, thank you so much again for joining us today, man.
Yeah, bro.
We really,
that's good.
yeah, your story is incredible.
Thank you, guys. I feel like we all have struggles in our lives and go through the fires, but as a team, we can all get through it together. And you all really have inspired me, and I try to live the team never quit mentality every day and share what y'all are doing for our community.
Bro, next time I'm down in Tampa, we'll link up. No, we're in Orlando. He's outside Orlando. Orlando. Big city.
I'll come to
big
Tampa,
city.
Orlando, or anytime I'm in Texas.
We can
would
go
love to come
Orlando,
and see
man.
y'all.
We did.
I like them both.
Let's go to Universal.
We do speeches in Orlando quite a bit.
Yeah, we do. Absolutely. That'd be fun, man.
Break out the spare bedroom, bruh.
Yeah,
All right. I got a place for y'all on the lake. I got a jet ski and some bourbon. Y'all come
got a
on.
pool, got a pond.
So
for
I'll be
you,
showing
too,
up
man.
in the Congress in the House of Congress in January 23. So make sure I get your contact information so I can run the ground some things for you.
Thank you, Morgan, and good luck. And, I know you're not going to need it. You're going to create your own luck. And also, I want to reach out to Andrew, see how I can support any way our company can support your run.
Oh, thank you,
Appreciate
sir.
it, brother.
God bless.
God
Awesome.
bless you, man. Take care.
God bless you guys.
All
Thank
right,
you
buddy.
so much.
Be good.
Have a great day.
You too, man. Yeah.
Hey, thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of the podcast. Let us know what you think. If you think this show will help someone out, send it to them, share it with them. Follow us on social media, teamneverquit.com/social. We've got some new podcast gear in the store. Make sure you check it out, shop.teamneverquit. And if you're not already, join us on patreon.com/teamneverquit. We'll see you guys next week.